already.
Welcome back to another Raised Hunting podcast. And I'll just go ahead and apologize for my special guest that I have on with me today because he's probably going to say something really stupid that I'm going to have to apologize for. And that's Warren. No, but you're getting a new introductor, me, that's better than David. Because David is currently in Montana.
Dropping off our mounts.
And he's dropping off some of our capes and our antlers and stuff to get mounted from our boy Waylon. And thankfully, we get to do a podcast without him because maybe we'll get to talk for once. So he's not here to defend himself, so we can go at him as much as we want. But today we have a very interesting topic, one that you guys have requested many times. Our most recent one, our boy Kevin Ranfeld. Partly we're going to use his request, but we're going to dive into tuning your bow, arrow weight, and your stabilizer setup. We had a lot of people that liked our archery topic and series that we did, but asked for some more in-depth things. So me and Warren have spent a lot of time with all three of those and playing with this and that and trying different things. So we believe that we'll have some good insight for you guys and try to cover what all three of them mean, why you should or should not do something, and hopefully make you a little bit better of a shot. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, I'm sure Warren's got some people to thank, and then we'll jump right into it.
Yeah. This one, too, we'll need to do. This could be a great topic for us to do. Shout out on Apple Podcast to Dalton G843. He says, can you break down how to tell you are hunting the fringe or what to look for to get to the fringe?
Ew.
That's a good one. I like that one.
If you see the deer once or twice, you're on the fringe. And I can tell you I know that because I'm hunting a buck on the fringe.
I don't know. I think you can be in the core and see him once or twice.
You could be that way, too.
You see him, you need to kill him because not many times you're going to get to see him.
Yeah.
Spotify, we're so close.
What, do we have 2 left?
397.
3 left. Come on, guys. 3 more 5-star reviews.
3 more on Spotify. Shout out. So please, if you get anything from this, leave us a review and share it with your buddies. It really helps us grow. Shout out to Lewis, Lynette,
Lynette commented.
Taryn Boosenbark, and LV Outdoors. Taryn said, great podcast. Love the information given. Just ordered some Knox and old DVDs today. You the man. And then on YouTube, got a whole bunch of folks on YouTube. David Harrison, 9731, says, we love hearing Mama Holder on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Today's actually jealous seeing all the family sitting there and having a conversation about hunting, which is pretty cool for us. Eric S. 007, great to see the whole family together. Ultimate Outdoor Adventures TV. John, this is another great podcast. It's been absolute great to watch you guys grow over the years and truly become who you are. To you, Mama Holder, I'm glad you stuck with it. As bow hunters, we all know it's not a matter of if, but when something like that happens. You did everything right. It's just part of hunting. But big shout out to y'all for putting the episodes out there. A lot of other shows wouldn't have aired it. Telling the truth isn't always easy, but it shows your character and what you're made of. Once again, awesome podcast. Fun fact for you guys, John has known us since... Shoot, I think He's
known me since I was little, so
I think I was
like 10 or.
Well, I'm trying to remember the first antelope hunt we went on in Wyoming. I think I was 13 when they left me when I shot that buck by myself.
Probably, because it was multiple. We had known him for multiple years, and I didn't meet him until I was like 10.
Yeah, we knew him in Whitefish. So we've known John for probably 13 to 15 years.
Yeah.
So when he says that he has been able to watch us grow, like before raised hunting was even a thing.
And there's a plug for you guys too if you want some more cool hunting content. Even though he's from North Dakota and doesn't have quite the size of deer that we do here in Iowa, but Ultimate Outdoor Adventures on Instagram. He's got some good stuff on there.
Nurse Mike IN, RR2B Hiking. He says, sweet podcast. I may be biased, but great seeing you all tell hunting stories on film again, especially having Karen there. Eric Robards, 1209. Chase Knowles. William Ayers, SB4TT. Brown Native, 7599. Jeremy Rupsick, Bucky Doe Downer, and Jake DeLee.
Nice.
I'd read them all, but we need to do the podcast too.
All right, so which one do we want to start with? We could probably start with an easy one. We've got, and I think if I'm being honest, I'm going to rank them knowing the last one we are going to probably get into is stabilizers because it's going to take probably the longest of the three.
Well, I think maybe let's first try and classify. So what would we consider an advanced archer? Is that knowledge of archery or shooting ability?
I think it's got to be both.
Okay.
It's like having a coach that can coach but can't shoot. That's a little different. A coach that can coach and shoot, he's probably going to be a little more advanced than most.
I've seen some guys, though, that can shoot.
Oh,
They
yeah,
probably
but they can't coach.
They
Same
can't
thing.
even tie a D.
Yeah, that's my point, why it'd kind of be an advanced. Well, in my opinion, an advanced shooter, you can be an advanced shooter that's shooting well and consistently shoots very well, but has no idea how to set a bow up, no idea how to tune a bow, no idea what different components do different things or how to get a little out of this or that. I think you hit a ceiling. You could be an advanced shooter, but you're not breaking into the side of I could be even better, or I could get my setup where I'm comfortably shooting better, more consistently. So I think that's two different people. I think there's a lot of people that can shoot but don't know how to.
But there's quite a few guys, though, that also can work on their own stuff, and they're mediocre shots.
Yeah, well, don't dive into one or the other too hard. If you are going to dive into one too hard, dive into shooting. You need your ability. You can go to an archery shop. But the other thing is, it's probably changing some now. Back when we were little kids, it was like if you're doing your own work, I mean, the equipment was expensive. Like getting a bow press and everything. Like you remember when we had that X-Press thingy?
Yeah.
That, I mean.
So maybe we should do it this way. I feel like let's start on the archery side, because and this is, people are just going to have to take this with a grain of salt because we're kind of just forming what Easton and I's opinion are. This isn't based off of anything factual. Just us seeing
what we've done in our experiences.
Our
too.
experiences, seeing people shoot, seeing probably thousands and thousands of people shoot at this point. What ourselves, everything else, what we would take to be considered an advanced archer. Because maybe at that point, to me, if you're not able to do these things, then you need to spend more time focusing on your form and everything else before you're too worried about working on your own bow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what would we categorize that as? So I would say, like, let's just, an intermediate archer, I think, is holding what's that? A 10-inch group? 8-inch group, maybe?
About.
8-inch.
If you guys can't see, he's holding up a circle like 8 or 10 inches.
Yeah. So, I mean, like a little smaller than the entire vital area, but the vital area at 30.
Yeah.
Agreed?
That's probably close. But it's kind of hard to say, but like one thing that I classify, not that I mean to do it, but about the quality of a shooter would be like if I'm shooting with them, and I think more people would probably relate to this than not. But when I'm shooting, say I'm shooting with you, or I'm at a 3D shoot or something, and maybe I'm just starting to know somebody and how they shoot and things. But if you've shot with them for at least a little bit to understand how well they shoot, if in my head I'm looking at, I'm watching them shoot, like it's their turn, they're shooting 40 yards or something like that, or 50, whatever it is, and in my head, I'm not questioning whether it's going to be in the 10 ring, 12 ring, or in the 8, or if it's going to be on the target. Like that's a big difference to me. So like when I'm watching you shoot, I'm watching the target, I'm waiting for it to hit within an inch of the dot probably, no matter where. If I'm watching somebody else shoot that is not as far along, I'm like, okay, I'm hoping that I'm going to watch and see where they hit, but I'm hoping it's going to be in a general area of the dot.
Okay.
And just naturally, I think that way of different levels of shooters.
So it's a precision then.
To me, it's precision, yeah, and consistency. Like I'm not questioning every time we go to the next target. If I'm in a group or something in a 3D shoot, every time I go to that next target, I'm not questioning if I'm going to get a point up on them by shooting a 10. I'm questioning I can't drop a point. If I drop a point, they're going to beat me because they're that consistent.
Right. And so if you take that into consideration, then let's just say Because I think that you have a large majority of people that out to 20, they're good. Like
Yeah.
they can keep it in a baseball for sure out to 20. 30, I think it starts to separate it. 40, I think there becomes a big difference there. So then let's just say consistent and precision at 40. Like at 40 yards, then what do they need to be able to be consistently hitting or holding a group of to where we're going to say that this person is not shooting at an intermediate level or a strong amateur level, like that. This is they have an advanced skill in archery.
The only reason I would say that I don't think you can really put a number on that is because you have to put a number on the percentage of shooters that can do it, that separates it, versus if you did it or not. I don't know what percentage of shooters out there can shoot a 4-inch circle or a 6-inch circle at 40 yards 9 times out of 10. I don't know how many that is. I don't think there's a lot by any means. But I couldn't tell you that I think that's 10% or 50%. So that makes it hard to classify.
Okay, so let's just say like that. Like, what are the size of your cap there, you think? 3 inches? Probably?
Yeah, it's 2.
It's 2?
I believe so, yeah. I don't know why I know that, but...
Okay, so if you're able to hold it in that every single time at 40, I think you're in top 5% of archers.
You're shooting very well. Very well. I honestly think by doing some of our challenges we've done out here that we have not released yet, but a 4-inch circle at 40 yards, and you can hit that every single time, you're separated. You're definitely shooting better than most, in my opinion.
And I think the thing I do think is really important to make sure we have mention of, like you said, is the consistency.
Yep.
Some guys have it where they'll be able to go out there one day and they can do it, and then the next day it's all over. Or so we're talking like every time this person, it's more rare for them to be outside of that circle than it would be for them to be in that circle.
Yep.
And we're saying, so, I mean, this is just us trying to give you guys some kind of baseline at 40 yards. If you're inside of a 3 to 4 inch group every single time, every day, no matter the occasion other than maybe wind conditions and stuff, you're probably in the top 5% of archers.
You're shooting well. I mean, I don't know percent, but I would tell you that the vast majority of other shooters probably aren't there.
Yeah, which I think probably there could be a lot of other people that may argue with us on that. But I would encourage them to come shoot at our steel target, and let's see how many of them.
I would agree with that. But I would also preface that it's the same concept as you see all the people that are killing 180, 200-inch deer. The percentage of the people that are actually killing that size of deer is very, very low. But social media makes it where, every time I scroll, it's a freaking unit. It's a unit.
Yeah.
It's a unit. Every time you see somebody shooting on social media, nobody gets views when you can't hit 40 yards. So...
Well, and very few are filming the entire time and showing you all of the shots. They'll show you their good group and what happened on that one. They're not showing you the rest of them.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so now we've got somewhat of a baseline established of what – and so if you're wanting to become an advanced archer or trying to state that you're going to be there, then I think utilize that kind of as a baseline. And if you're not even close, then you need to be spending more time focusing on your form first. It is most likely not your equipment. So it's probably not your bow and everything else. It is most likely your form and your consistency as an archer. Now,
I think you get to the point, if you can outshoot your equipment, now you're ready to start. You are ready to start upgrading this, upgrading that, tuning this, tuning that, to fine-tune it, because you're shooting so consistently that you're outshooting your equipment, which is hard to do.
Yeah, and I don't even
unless
know
you have like a 20, 30-year-old bow that is like shooting aluminum arrows still or something.
Yeah, which I don't know that that's even even possible, because East and I were just talking about that this weekend. We shot bear forever, and there's a whole bunch of people who be like, man, you can't, bears they're not even in the top, they're not even in the discussion. There's no way that you could shoot that well with a bear. And my bear is nowhere near or I guess it wasn't anywhere near as comfortable, or did I like it as much as I do my Matthews now, but
you shot it really well.
I shot that thing super well. Yeah, like as far as accuracy, I would say it would be hard for me to, I may be very, very slightly more accurate with my Matthews, but it's not, that's not any notable difference.
That's another reason why when you see guys that are pushing a Matthews, pushing a Bowtech, pushing a Bear, you don't need to listen to what they're shooting well. And Warren, I've watched Warren try things. A great example is Warren shooting an index finger versus a hinge or something like that. A lot of guys will tell you have to shoot a hinge to be to the top ability of what you can shoot. But if you take into account what you are comfortable with doing and shooting well, that outweighs anything. So one person might like a Bear very much because they like how it draws or how it holds. The next person might like a Matthews. So don't take what other people are saying for the truth. I guess for you need to go find that.
Yeah. Okay, so arrow setup. Let's go into that real quick then and talk about where the biggest difference is in that and how much that's going to make a difference on your accuracy and everything else.
I think the biggest thing, just skip right on over spine tolerances, because I try to find a tolerance that's as low as possible, but at the same time, it's talking out shooting your equipment.
Tolerance.
Yeah, sorry, but out shooting your equipment. Not very many people are going to be able to see the difference between a .0001 straightness and a .0005 or 7 or something. It's a number. I mean, yes, there's genuinely facts to back why it's ranked that way, but you're probably not going to see a difference. So you can hop right on over that. I'll probably get crap for that one. But spine, making sure your spine is accurate to your draw weight and your draw length is important. And then, in my opinion, the biggest controversy in arrows is weight. Whether you need a heavy arrow or a very light arrow, or whether you need neither. Because everybody will tell you, I think it's dying down now, but the heavy arrow thing was like 3-4 years there where you have to shoot a heavy arrow, or I heard it multiple times, you're unethical if you're not shooting a heavy arrow. And I 100% disagree with it, never cave to it, won't cave to it, don't agree with it, don't think most people should even be shooting it.
Yeah.
When we are talking heavy arrows, I'm talking like, I mean, 500 grains is a pretty heavy arrow total with everything on it, but like 550 and up is you're freaking throwing a log at it. That's excessive. I feel like my arrows with everything on them, they're 470 grains. That in my head that's on the high or the heavy end. I mean, I'm up there, and that's like as heavy as I would allow myself to go.
So what do you think is the biggest issue with the heavy arrow? Like, what would be the number one reason that you tell somebody not to get one?
I would tell, because number one, if you hunt long enough, you can use a rangefinder as much as you want. You're going to be in a situation at some time or another where you're going to have to judge the yardage. If you judge your yardage where you're 3-4 yards off, with a heavy arrow, you have zero forgiveness in that. Don't care unless you have a 31-inch draw length and you're pulling 80 pounds and your arrow's still cruising at 290, 300 feet per second. Most everybody is going to have a significant amount of drop, even in misjudging a couple yards. Versus if you go to a lighter arrow, and I'm not saying your super, super light ones that some guys are talking about as well, but you go to a lighter arrow where I can misjudge by 3-4 yards, and I'm still within an inch or two. I don't have to worry about it. But the second argument that comes into that is penetration. I have never had any issue with penetration or passing through animals, including elk, with even 470 grains is pretty heavy. But I'm also watching David, who has a 28.5-inch draw length, shooting 56 to 60 pounds with his shoulder, and a 410 grain arrow that is zipping through big game animals. No issue. Our mother shooting 48 to 52 pounds or whatever it was at a 25-inch draw length or 26 something, zipping through animals, big game animals. Okay, I don't see why you need to add that large of a margin of what they say is a margin of error in order to get more penetration. It just baffles me why you would want to do that.
Well, I think too, if you think of the anatomy of a deer or an elk, the only situation I could think of would be if you have a deer that's right underneath you, then I could see that. But otherwise, you need to be missing by a pretty significant distance to be hitting the shoulder in the first place. Like if we're actually talking about legit the shoulder bone, we've talked about this before. We feel like a lot of people don't realize that the shoulder bone actually comes up and then it goes towards their neck and then back. There's a I
Like
think to use
the
their
V or
exact
whatever.
terms is vital V.
Yeah.
A lot of them that use that. And so if you're hitting up there, you're missing by a pretty good bit. Maybe ducks or something, that could be an instance where you have more likelihood of hitting that shoulder when he ducks when you're shooting a slow ass arrow.
Yeah.
I actually did hop on the heavy arrow thing for a little bit, and so where my experience came from it was, this was before even though that it was such a fad. I can't remember who I was talking to somebody, and so I had some arrows that were like, I want to say they were like 500, maybe 520, somewhere in there. And I think I was pulling like 67 or 68, something like that. It wasn't quite 70. And we were in Montana, had a bull come in, was 40. Well, I mean, it was close enough to 40 that I just put my 40 right on him and missed him. Went right underneath him. Wasn't 3 minutes later, there was another bull bugling, comes to 42 or 43. And I was still very confident in my shooting ability, and I was like, okay, well, this one's dead. And where I'm aiming all the time is basically right on the heart, at the most the top of the heart. I don't want to be aiming mid-body or anything like that. It's somewhat a whitetail habit, but if they duck or anything like that, I want to have a little room. If I'm going to miss them, I'd rather miss low than high. And so that one, and I was thinking the first one must have been like 46 or something. So my confidence wasn't really like, oh, I missed. It was I messed up on the yardage. And so this one, there's a rock. Arranged the rock, and it was either 42 or 43. I'd have to look back at the video. And the bull stands over the freaking rock. And so I was like, perfect. I know exactly how far you are. Put my pin right there, took my time, everything felt good, squeezed it off, and going perfect, and boom, right underneath him. I was like, what the hell? I was like, he's freaking 42. There's no way I have that much drop. Fast forward the next day, I take my bow, and we had a target there at camp, and I put the target at 42 or 43, whatever the exact distance was, held my 40 dead on, and I had like 6 to 7 inches of freaking drop. And I'm like, what the hell? I have to be able to, at 42 yards, with a 28.5-inch draw length, pulling 70 pounds, I got to be able to put my 40
On him.
on and not drop that much. And so then after that, I was like, I don't think that this is worth it. Then I also saw a couple of guys that did several tests that showed that the speed that you're making up, the penetration difference was basically nothing. In some cases, a lighter arrow, 420 to 440, whatever, was out-penetrating the faster arrows. So to me...
Out-penetrating the heavy arrows.
Or the heavier arrows, sorry. And so then after that, I was like, well, this isn't... I'm increasing my odds of hitting an animal bad by having to be so exact on my yardage, or I got to try to pull 80 pounds. I don't need to do that. What do I need to go and pull 80 pounds for?
I think it all comes back to what you're going to pick, all comes back to how you practice. And the reason I say that now that I'm thinking about it when we're saying this out loud is the people that are picking really, really heavy arrows, they're always referring to better penetration and more margin for error if I hit whatever, okay? When I practice, I'm not looking for margin of error. When I practice, well, you said it earlier, I'm looking for precision. I want the majority, if not all of my arrows exactly within a couple inches of where I'm hitting every time at whatever distance that I'm comfortable shooting. Okay, so I think that is a different mentality I've found that some people, because they do it with guns too, that I've found is it's close enough. Like I know, it's within whatever. I know it's close enough. They're not looking for perfection. They're not looking for precision. They're sighting their scope in or sighting their sight into. It's close enough. It'll kill whatever. Okay. That to me just aired out. If you're picking heavy arrows for the penetration effect or whatever you want to call it, and the margin for error, you're not practicing well enough. You should instead, because everybody will argue when you take a expandable broadhead or a fixed blade broadhead, which one is better. Everybody can agree that if you hit them in the right spot with a field point, you're good, right? So why wouldn't I want to practice to my best ability to give myself every opportunity possible that if I am 4 yards off on judging yardage or 2 yards off or whatever, and my arrow doesn't move hardly at all, I know my precision is there, meaning I don't need the margin for error. I don't need to worry about hitting bone because I'm going to be 4 inches off potentially. I'm not going to be 4 inches off.
Nick, will you hand me that whitetail thing? Well, this is going to be a real unpopular opinion. You want to know the main reason I think most of them do it?
Aiming in the wrong spot.
It's an excuse to take quartering 2 shots.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, well, so that is a big one. Is shot.
Now I can shoot him in the shoulder.
Yeah, no.
And that's where I really think that I believe that most of them are
nuts.
It ain't about, I'm trying to make sure that I have a more margin for error. It's, I want to take a quartering 2 shot and shoot him in the shoulder, and this gives me the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's bullshit, too. You shouldn't be doing that either. So much for trying to make this where Nick didn't have to cut or beep. Why? You can cut that, or you can leave that. It's not like we don't do it all the time. So margin of error, like if we really talk about this, if we really look at this as far as margin of error, so there's your shoulder. And I'd say it comes back a little bit further than that.
Yeah.
But the only thing that you have here that you would be really dealing with as far as margin of error is this knuckle that comes up.
Yeah.
And
which the heart is a little lower than that, I feel like.
Well, and this knuckle comes up a little bit higher.
Maybe that's what I'm.
So that knuckle is really more like right up here. But that knuckle, I'm sure you guys have felt that before too. I don't care what broadhead you shoot that with. If you dead center that knuckle, you're screwed. I mean, you're going to have a really, really hard time getting any arrow through the knuckle of that. It's like a wing bone on a turkey. Getting it through the wing bone on a turkey is
good luck.
Hard. So now that would have been the only thing where you'd have any advantage. Because if you hit the flat of that with an expandable, you're going through that too with an expandable. If you hit it right on the flat. Now this knuckle up here is a different story, but right on the flat, I believe you're going right through that especially with those beast broadheads with the ability to compress.
Yeah.
It's probably going to have more penetration than anything else. So you're not gaining anything. In fact, you're increasing your odds of hitting them in the shoulder because you have a slower arrow you got to deal with.
From them ducking.
Right. And so my margin of error I should be within 3 to 4 inches. Right, left, up, down. You should be fine. Especially if you're aiming. Now, we aim like right here, especially on whitetails, because we're anticipating them either hitting them right where we're aiming or they're going to duck and giving ourselves an additional 8 to 10 inches. But there shouldn't be that much margin of error that you're compensating for. And then even with that, unless you're planning on taking like quartering 2 shots and stuff, you shouldn't be that close anyways.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So the arrow build comes down to what you're comfortable with shooting. I don't think, granted, the other thing I will say about if you are somebody who is not super confident in your tuning abilities, a heavier arrow, you got to put a lot more into a heavier arrow in order to get it to be that heavy and in order to tune it properly. If you're not comfortable with tuning a lot of different things, you probably shouldn't be shooting a heavier arrow anyways. You should probably be shooting something you can get out of the box, cut it to your length, or have somebody cut it to your length and shoot accurately at whatever distance you're needing to shoot. So I think the heavy arrow is just, I could understand where there's certain times for it, but I really don't. 9 times out of 10, I think it's ridiculous that people are trying to force heavy arrows down your throat for more margin of error or whatever penetration they want to claim, because you can do just about anything you could with a heavy arrow with a well-placed arrow. So in a lighter setup, it's going to give you more room for error as long as you're practicing for precision, not for a general area.
Yep. Okay, so then let's go to tuning with that on arrows.
Yep.
So the first thing you brought up was bare shaft tuning.
Yeah, do you bare shaft tune? Do you not tune? Do you tune? There's all kinds of different ways to tune, too. But I don't think this one needs to be all that overthought either. I think whether you have one or not, a paper tuner, like we use the actual paper tuner, but I'm referring to like if you freaking put some PVC together or something and clamp some paper tight and shoot through it. That's about as simple as I go as extensive as I go, and I've never had issues with it. My goal is to get a bullet hole. If you're not finding a bullet hole, you are now identifying that you have something in your bow, arrow, or form that is affecting your arrow. And so I don't do the bare shaft tuning. I can't speak on it a whole heck of a lot because I know I haven't done it. You have extensively. But I don't necessarily see why. Maybe if I were to start shooting even better or something, that I would want to maybe get into that. But I don't know why I would necessarily do that.
I've bare shaft tuned bows a couple times, and I just, like I said, I don't have any kind of facts on this, but I could never tell a noticeable enough difference. I haven't bare shaft tuned a bow now in 3 or 4 years, and I feel as though I'm shooting as accurate as I.
Well, what would be the
Ever
benefit of bare shaft tuning when you're not gonna shoot a bare shaft? You're not gonna hunt with a bare shaft. I mean, you're gonna put freaking fletchings on the thing. Like that's gonna affect how it shoots too.
Yeah, I think that people will tell you that fletchings are trying to. If your bare shafts aren't shooting a bullet hole, then your fletchings are having to correct and somewhat fight against your arrow to get it to correct and then shoot a bullet hole. In my opinion, like that's kind of the entire point of fletchings. And if I have it shoot a bullet hole at 3 feet, and then I have it shoot a bullet hole, because I do check them at different distances to make sure that there's not a place where it's way out of whack. As long as I can shoot that at a few different distances and it's a bullet hole with a few arrows, I've had a very hard time personally wrapping my head around where the bare shaft tuning is going to make that big of a difference.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like, okay, it's kind of like how hard can you kill it? Like once it's dead, it's dead. Like once it's tuned, it's shooting a bullet hole.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now it's shooting a bullet hole. I bet when you put fletchings on it, it's still going to shoot a bullet hole. I don't think that it's. Now, if it's having to majorly correct something, sure, maybe, but I just don't see how that's going to be. That's not tuned then either.
Yeah, so I don't have much to say on it besides I don't waste my time with it. Maybe I should. I'll probably have somebody tell me I should, but I don't really have anything where I'm like, oh man, I need to really figure this out to shoot better.
Maybe with fixed blades it might exacerbate it, but I've had times too where I had a bow that was bare shaft tuned and then shot fixed blades and certain fixed blades, and like I've said before, the only one that flew true was the wreck.
Yeah. So when it does come to tuning our bow, though, we typically, I mean, one of them is tuning your arrows to your bow, making sure that you're shooting a bullet hole through paper. That's probably the most common and easy way to do it. It's pretty self-explanatory as far as identifying whether your arrow is tuned or not, or your bow is tuned or not. The reason we do like the paper tuner one, though, is because it takes the question out of it, typically for right-handed shooters, but you can shoot through that, and depending on what the tear is, it basically tells you all the different things it could be, whether you're out of time, you're shooting it too stiff of a spine or underspined, your rest needs to be moved one way or another, all kinds of different things that it could be, and makes it where you don't have to it takes the guesswork out, basically. But
Or just keeps you from having to search it.
yeah, because so that's the simple way to do it, in my opinion, and it's going to get you just about as far as you need to go. So other than that, though, I mean, when we get something out of a box, when it comes to the bow, you need to make sure it's timed. You need to make sure that it's there's no, like I said earlier, it's not really a thing anymore. There's no cam lean in it. There's some bows that still probably are affected with cam lean. What else? I mean, timed. Meaning your cams are coming back at the same time and hitting at the same time. Cam lean, I'm not even going to really, I mean, older bows you may see it where literally your cam is leaning and that'll affect it.
Well, and sometimes a little cam lean is good.
It's actually supposed
Some
to
of
have
them
a
are
little bit of
supposed to
cam
have
lean.
cam
Yeah.
lean in them. Yep. I guess, so when you're looking for, what are the things when you do set up a bow that you're not willing to give it all? Like, this needs to be absolutely precisely perfect.
I've gotten to the point, I used to not be this way, but now it is. When I put a rest and my arrow on, everything, obviously I want to make sure that my arrow and my rest are going through what's called the burger button holes.
It's a center shot.
Yep, center shot and level and everything. And then center shot when I'm looking vertically over top of the bow.
Yep.
I used to be where I just get it where my D-loop and my rest are level and it's going through the burger button holes right, or it's maybe even got a little bit of an angle to it, barely. and then I wouldn't care about left or right. But then I've got to the point where sometimes some of these bows, all you're doing is compensating for something in the bow that is not tuned right, which isn't going to help you any. So center shot, meaning your arrow is going through the burger buttonholes, and if you look vertically over top of your bow, it is left and right going through the center of your bow as well, the riser. That I don't give any more on. And unfortunately, by not giving on that, sometimes it means you have a little more work to do when you're tuning, because you may have to check the timing a little better. You may have to figure out why one yoke is pulling one way or another or whatever. Or you may have to shim a cam or something like that. It's a pain in the butt, but it's going to make your bow shoot 10 times better.
Well, a lot of these too are that is a lot of them now are making it really easy to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You're not having to shim it, or like Matthews used to have the top hats.
Yeah.
Now you don't have the top hats either.
The Bowtech one had it for longer than they did, even, where it's literally a screw. It's freaking nice.
Is theirs on the limb pocket, or is theirs on the cam?
It's it's on the limb on the outside of the cams.
Okay, so it's moving the cam as well.
I looked at yours. Matthews either licensed it from Bowtech or they copied them, and they haven't been sued yet. Yeah.
Or they're working something out.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, and that I agree. So you have to be able to have your rest on center shot, 100%. Because once you get out to further distances, all your stuff's going to get whacked. You need your rest on center shot.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, those are my main ones, and then I'm getting into my sight and everything.
Mine would be timing. Like, I am super, super analytical on, like, that needs to be down absolutely perfect. I want my timing to be absolutely perfect. My draw length needs to be absolutely perfect. So now I have fortunately been able to find like the perfect length of my D loop. So as long as I'm keeping some of the same bow setup and everything, that I have the D loop measurement, so I know exactly how long my D loop needs to be to make it where everything comes back and is exactly precisely perfect. Because then that changes the view through my peep sight and it changes everything. So draw length needs to be absolutely perfect. Timing needs to be absolutely perfect. And then after that, it's going into just setup. Center shot needs to be perfect.
That is a tip for you guys, too, that depending on what bow you're shooting, I know it sounds crazy, your draw length when you measure it is a reference.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you it's a reference, because it's not always, depending on who tied your D-loop or if you tied it, that's going to change it a little bit if it's not consistent. And you're going to find different bows feel different draw lengths. I think with a bear, I was shooting like 29 and a half to, like, I think I even had a freaking bow at 30. I'm not going to lie to you. Because it was like, it just felt, everything felt really short. I think my Matthews is at 29 or 29 and a half. That feels very comfortable, but I had to adjust it to both different ways to see what was the most comfortable. So my draw length measures at 29 and a half, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be shooting 29 and a half. I'm going to shoot what's comfortable.
Well, and if you start putting twists into things to get things to time and stuff, you could be tweaking that 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing about those expedition bows, is if you talk to them about building one custom for you, they'll build it down to like the 1/10 of an inch of your draw length. Like exactly what you wanted. You're going to pay for it too, though. I mean, yeah.
Okay. So
that's tuning your bow and making sure everything
and bullet hole. To me, that's absolutely that's not willing. Like it can't have even a little tear. It's got to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I do go through with all my arrows and I make sure they're all shooting bullet holes too.
Yeah.
Which is annoying, but
okay.
And so then the last one would be your stabilizers. And whether you're using them, how you're using them, how much weight, maybe you don't use them. And this one is probably going to be if we have anybody that listens that's Western, is probably going to give us crap on it. But I've done the same Western hunting as well. I'd rather take the sacrifice here. But what is your opinion on your stabilizer setups?
I think if I'm trying to think of one thing that gives you the biggest advantage to step up your ability as an archer, if you're not already utilizing stabilizers correctly,
is that
I think that if you have a bow that's 95% tuned and stabilizers, then you'd shoot that better than a bow that is 100% absolutely bare shaft tuned everything. Then with no stabilizers.
Yeah.
I think that for me the largest accuracy change that I've ever had was when I learned about a back bar.
Yeah.
And then actually balancing my bow to, instead of just making the pin go there, having my bow where it wants to sit on target.
Yeah. Which sounds nuts until you've actually gotten it to do so.
Oh, it's crazy. Like there's some, you're never going to get it to sit where it's perfectly still, right? But compared to no stabilizers, and then it's just kind of normal to be floating around, where you can change all of that and you can put weight there and you can make that, you can even, most people probably deal with their pins wanting to dip right below the dot, dip below, and they have a hard time getting the pin up to the dot, or they start above the target and they come down and then they try to stop it there and pull through their shot. You can set those stabilizers to where it feels like that pin wants to sit on the dot, and that to me, when I figured that out, I was like, oh my God, my shooting
much better.
The largest improvement that I've had in my shooting in my entire life.
Yeah. And that one is that you have another argument with, I don't hear it nearly as much, but it used to be like your bows, your Bear bows, not Bear Company, but just the bow itself. How heavy is it? And some guys are like, no, you got to have a heavier bow. It's going to help you shoot better, more confidently. Some guys are like, don't shoot a light bow, or you should shoot a light bow.
Less vibration.
Yeah, and as I've gotten with heavier, you'd have less vibration. But with lighter, what I've found is that I would much rather have the lightest bow I can find that is nothing on it. And that's probably uncommon, but the reason I say that is because I can add weight to it. I can distribute weight where I want to with stabilizers and different setups and different amounts of weight on the stabilizers, different lengths or whatever else. I can't take weight off. That is my biggest complaint of my Phase 4 is I like it, and I'm not like 100% on it. I mean, I shoot it pretty well, but it's heavy.
It's too heavy.
It's too heavy for me to feel as though I can actually add weight to where I need to add weight in my stabilizers without making it ridiculously heavy. And that drives me up a wall. So I'm a big fan of a lighter bow that shoots smooth. Outside of that, I can fix the rest. I can add to the rest. I can take some of the vibration out, or I can distribute weight, whatever else. But the front bar and a back bar is the biggest argument I used to hear. I don't think I hear it nearly as much. Is about the packability or getting in and out or whatever else when you're hunting. And I am. I'm not shooting a freaking 30-inch stabilizer like a target shooter or whatever, but I'll shoot like a 12-inch stabilizer, front and back sometimes, depending on what bow I'm using or whatever, or what feels comfortable. I won't sacrifice that for what hunt I'm going on. I will carry it. I don't care. I'm going to shoot what I'm confident with, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I want the shortest stabilizers that I can, but the shortest that I can and I feel comfortable with is where I'm going to be, because you got to keep in mind too that there's a difference between just weight and distribution. So you might be saying, well, why can't I get a 6-inch front bar and a 4-inch back bar and then just add weight? You could to somewhat, but on that back bar, to get the same effect of it, let's say pulling your pin up, you might have to put on 6 ounces of weight, where if you have an 8-inch back bar, you might only need 4 ounces.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be further back and it's more of a lever, right? Yeah. And so mine right now are 12 and 10, I think, which I don't really like them that long. But as far as the stability, I mean, it's rock solid, and I don't have that much more weight on there. I think I have three ounces on the back and 1 on the front. But since my bars are so much longer, it has the same effect as using an 8-inch bar and a 6-inch bar with 5 ounces on the back.
Yeah.
So those kinds of things, those little things like that, if there's one thing that I spend a ridiculous amount of time with, it's getting my stabilizers to where it feels absolutely perfect, because you'll find there's a sweet spot where you get to full draw and like your level just sits perfect and the pin just absolutely wants to sit there. And I think the difference that happens when you can get that is now, instead of you having to aim, you don't even worry about aiming really anymore. You're sure you got to have the pin there, but you're more focused on
your release.
Yeah, executing a clean shot, which when you can go from having to, and I think that's probably helps with target panic too.
Oh yeah.
Because now it's like, the pin's there. It's not, you're not doing drive-bys the pin sits there. You take your time, put some pressure on the release, clean release. Where when you're having to get it there, it's like, oh, it's there, shoot, and so that to me, your stabilizers, if you told me that I have to have a whisker biscuit and a cheap sight and everything else, if you're going to take everything else from me, the one thing I'd want to keep would be my stabilizer.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've been shooting them front bar and a back bar for 5-6 years now, and I still haven't. Like, it takes a lot of shooting. I've got them close, but I'm not to the point where it's way better than without it, but I'm still not to the point where I've got, like, that perfect setup. So it just takes playing with different ones, and the best thing you can do probably, if you're having to try different length stabilizers or different weights, is either find a couple buddies that have different stabilizers that are like, yeah, I got an extra one or whatever, and try them, borrow them or whatever, or even go on Facebook. I've said this before, go on your groups. You can typically find them much cheaper on there without having to go buy brand new stuff that you're not even sure if you're going to like or not.
Yeah, or go to their archery shop. They probably have several things, stabilizers, and just put different lengths on there and everything. All you're looking for is you want, and do them individual. And what I mean by that is when you put those stabilizers on, the first thing you need to pick either left and right or up and down. And what you're looking for is to reduce as much pin float as you can. So don't worry about trying to do both at once. Just, okay, I want to get my pin height-wise to sit on the target. And then once you've accomplished that, now go to left and right.
Yep.
And that makes it a lot easier, but then also you're going to be able to fine-tune exactly what it is, and you can then, from that point, now you could add, okay, let me try the 12-inch bar, put it in the same spot, see what it does. And then you'll find pretty quick probably there'll be a mix or a ratio where you'll be like, holy crap, this is...
Yeah, and I would also recommend, if you do have to go to a bow shop or something, make sure you go multiple times. Because, for me, I've found that it takes me a long time to really... I need to shoot a round or two with each setup to really feel comfortable with it or see if I don't like it or whatever. And I might tweak a little bit in there of, adjusting it out or up or whatever. But as far as that setup, I like to shoot it for a little bit. So meaning if you're going to go through 3-4 different stabilizer setups, you're probably not going to get that done in a day where you're confident, because you're going to be tired as shit.
Yeah, you need to be fresh
by the end of it. Yeah.
Agreed.
You're going to be sitting there no matter what you do. Your bow is going to be dropping like no other. So just take your time with it. It takes patience. But I do think it is, once you do find it, it's kind of an aha moment. It's like, oh, that feels good. There it is.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Absolute game changer in my opinion. So if you're not using back bars or anything, and you're wanting to be more accurate, or you fight with for older guys too, talk to a lot of older guys who complain about not being able to keep the pin, that it always wants to dip. That is one of the easiest, quickest ways to be able to fix that.
Yep.
Might be one of the only ways. But that's where I think Easton does have a good point on some of these. I did not like my Phase 4 for that reason. It was too heavy, and I couldn't. Then my stabilizers honestly became more of a hassle, because it added just too much weight overall, and my shoulder would get tired. I could only shoot a few arrows before I was tired, or at least it was noticeably dropping.
Yep.
Where my lift isn't like that.
Yep.
Either one of them.
Well, maybe that just means I need to make some more money, or maybe you guys should buy some more scents so I can go buy a new bow.
That could possibly be the last thing we could talk about is, do you need to, if you're going to be a really good archer, do you need to be working on your own stuff?
I think if you want to get to the best ability possible, I think you need to have the ability to do so. I'm a big believer in just about anything you do in life. If you can understand how something works or what process goes into it, that you're going to be that much better at what you're doing. And I think it's the same for archery. If you can shoot really well, that's one thing. But if you can shoot really well and know that it's like golf is a perfect example. Those freaking crazy dudes, if you can swing a club and hit straight, that's one thing. But those dudes know, if I put my right toe forward a little bit, it's going to give me 1 degree loft, and it's going to give me 3 more yards. That's going to drop that right there perfect. It's the same thing with a bow. If you can figure out how I can adjust my grip just a little bit, there's no torque, or I can use a little heavier of an arrow because it's going to do this, or a little lighter, or whatever else. If I can understand each one of those little things, or a little longer D-loop or something, all those things come into what is perfect for you and how comfortable you can shoot repetitively every time.
Agreed. Nobody's going to be able to help you get it as precise as you'd want as yourself.
You're also always going to have another opinion, too. Like, it's some people may push you to try something that you don't really care to try or want to use.
Well, and if you go to the archery shop, too, and this depends on the archery shop. If you have a mom-and-pop shop, odds are probably a lot better. But if you go to, like, Shields, I can't tell you how many Shields, Bass Pro, all those big box stores, how many horror stories I've heard where, they have people that just, they don't know what they're doing. And a bow is not something you can be working on without knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's very, very detailed and intricate. So you need to know backwards and forwards what you're doing. Or they may be able to get you a bullet hole, but your rest is barely on the riser, right? Like, oh, it's shooting a bullet hole. Sure. And my sight and my arrow is like this. I mean, it's not even in the same ballpark. So, yeah, if you wanted to get really, really dialed in, I think you have to be doing it yourself.
Yeah, and fortunately, you can do a lot of this stuff nowadays pretty cheap. The main thing you're going to need is a bow press, maybe a draw board on it if you want to. But you can get bow presses now for $300-$400 with another $150-$200 for the draw board, and then whatever Allen wrench tools and stuff you want on top of it. You could be into a pretty dang good at-home setup for under $1,000.
Yeah,
and used to you could not do that. I mean, it was like very extensive, and you had to have a different one for a different bow or different limbs or split limbs or single limbs or whatever. Nowadays it's pretty freaking awesome. You can go buy one press that can do just about everything.
Yep. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Before refrigerators, people in Russia and Finland placed live brown frogs in their milk to keep it fresh.
Oh.
Scientists later discovered the frog's skin secretes natural antibiotics that kill bacteria, helping the milk stay safe to drink longer.
I want to click X because that's disgusting.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is kind of nuts, though. It is gross. I wonder how much extra flavor there was in those drinks.
Weird. The low rumbling frequencies in heavy metal music mimic the vibrations of injured fish, which is why researchers and filmmakers have used underwater speakers blasting heavy metal to attract great white sharks.
Huh. That's kind of interesting. I did not know that. Good thing I don't care to attract great white sharks. I won't play heavy metal music when I'm in the ocean.
Yeah.
Take a hard pass on that.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to Warren and Easton show today. I think you guys are probably going to end up having another one of just us two. So if you guys have some or something else you'd like us to dive into, I think me and him may have a couple other ideas. But if somebody were to give us something that's really good, we might do so. So other than that, make sure you guys check out the scents. We've got a lot of scents out there and new stuff from last year if you have not gone and got your scents yet. We've got Knox. We've got the K9 line. All of it is at raisedhunting.com. And as always, if you guys have anything, send a message to contact@raisedhunting.com, and we will do what we can to cover your topic too. Good?
Yep.
We out.